Okay, so kind of looking and finding some books that were related to mathematics, looking around the grade levels of, second-ish grade. It's kind of like, I like more of the kind of picture books. So the first one I found was this book called The Greedy Triangle. It's by Marilyn Burns. It's for that grade 2 to 4, so maybe a little bit complicated for a second grader, but still, they could do it. But it's kind of about this triangle, and he becomes bored, and he's like he wants more sides, so he visits a shapeshifter, like this kind of wizard person, and he adds sides, making them different shapes. So but as he adds these shapes and these sides to him, he learns how much harder life can be for him. And at the end, he decides to go back and be a triangle in his original shape, and realizes he was happiest when at his original form. So this talks about geometry, so shapes, triangles, polygon, sides, stuff like that. And then shape attributes, what a shape looks like, what the different attributes of a shape is, the different sides, what they mean. So just some kind of integration ideas. The shape creation activity is something I thought about. So like students build shape, they can use straws or sticks, popsicle sticks, hangers, pencils, markers, crayons, whatever, and model different sides of polygons or different shapes and everything. So that'll be a fun one. And then kind of going back on the book and reviewing and deciding, this is what this shape is what that shape is. Some real world connections. Students will identify shapes at all times. They can identify shapes in their classroom, outside, at home. So this will help them with that. And then I was like a creative writing extension. I would have students write their own story about a shape-changing shape. So like their own version of it. So maybe this time it's a octagon who wants less shapes. So something along that lines, maybe a reverse version of the book. I'd be totally up to them. The second book I found was this book called 10 Black Dots. It's by Donald Cruz. This is more of an easier one for second grade. It's recommended for ages K through 2. And the book is about black dots and how they can create different objects. So as you go on with the book, each page has a dot, and it kind of visualizes numbers and how it can create different things. It encourages that imagination in these children, and it encourages counting with these dots. So as I mentioned, counting, like that mathematical subject matter would be like counting, one-to-one correspondence, practicing different strategies in counting. So if maybe a student's struggling with counting on their fingers, counting their head, maybe it's something like poking dots on something that could really help them. So that's kind of what the relation is there. So for kind of like some ideas, I would do a dot art project, which would be for students to create their own images with dots. So maybe we have like a worksheet where there's make a image with 4 dots, make an image with 25 dots, make an image with 100 dots. However ready they are for that, and kind of using their minds to help them count and make their own images. Maybe we could do like a counting practice. So, maybe you do the same thing, but we use buttons, or maybe, the little bingo chips, something like that. And then they can use that as a way to make their own thing, use more of that fine motor skills. And then the last example idea I would have would to have students write their own story about a given number, why they made a story about the number, what the number's about, how many dots it is, so that's kind of the idea there.